This win changes everything. What's up? Welcome to my instant reaction. Thanks for being here. I'm Grant Cohn. I'm in Glendale, Arizona. The 49ers just took belt to bottom against the Arizona Cardinals. The Niners are now 7-4, and they are the front runners to win the Super Bowl because beating the Cardinals proves that. No, I want to be sincere. This was a really good win for the 49ers. Last week, George Kittle called a shot, said this team can score a lot of points and win games that way. They did it. 41 points. And I was thinking, like, before the game, given that Arizona has lost 6 of their last 7 and they just gave up 44 as a team to the Seahawks, who are good, but they lost to the Rams today, you figure, like, why can't the Niners score 44? And they did. So that's great. The defense gave up 22, which is not great. I mean, they won by a lot, but still we're not just going to give the 49ers a pat on the back for beating Arizona. They're supposed to beat Arizona. Arizona's dead. But we're not going to disparage the 49ers for beating Arizona because they took care of business and a win's a win. But let's actually dissect what we learned from this particular win. It reminded me a little bit of their win over the New York Giants. You beat a team that's clearly inferior to you. You won by a lot. What does it prove? Well, let's talk Brock Purdy. I think it was a very encouraging performance from Brock Purdy, given what his performance against Jacksonville looked like. He looked like a practice squad quarterback against Jacksonville. Why? It wasn't just the fact that he lost his mobility. He couldn't throw a football accurately. That was a big problem. In this game, I thought he absolutely could throw footballs accurately. He wasn't floating passes high. It seemed like he could drive enough. He didn't have the arm strength he had maybe last year, but it wasn't a hindrance. So that's the good for Brock Purdy. As a passer from the pocket, he could throw like he used to. And I thought, like, one element that he adds to the offense that Mac doesn't, at least from a Kyle Shanahan play calling standpoint, is Shanahan likes to and does a good job moving the pocket for Brock. So he'll call play action stuff, but he'll call play action with a rollout to the left or a half rollout to the left or a roll to the right. He does that a lot, and Brock's so good at it. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the league at throwing on the run, particularly while moving left for a right-handed quarterback. A lot of times, like Jalen Hurts, I don't know that he can do that. He can throw while running to the right. Most right-handed quarterbacks can. So that's a nice element. It adds something to the offense. I mean, he's a smaller quarterback. You can't see him all the time in the pocket, and when you move him around, it makes it even tougher. So that was all good. It's good to see Brock Purdy be able to throw the ball like he can, like he has. The not so good from Brock Purdy, I think it was pretty clear that the mobility wasn't there. I mean, let's look at his numbers. He ran once for -7 yards. That's not Brock Purdy. So was that Brock Purdy out there today? It felt like, I don't know, what do you call that? 80% of Brock Purdy without the running is what? This. And today, again, he was great. Quarterback rating of 133, 3 touchdown passes, no picks. But if we're not just box score scouting, and I hate to be a nitpicker, but since they played the Cardinals, I gotta. So Brock threw 2 passes that could have gotten picked. They were what you would call turnover-worthy plays. Cardinals dropped them. Happens to every quarterback. Happens to Mac Jones. So does that mean that he's not ready to play? Nah, because the way I look at it, that's what 100% healthy Brock Purdy does. I mean, he did look a little hesitant in the pocket when it came to scrambling. Usually he doesn't hesitate at all, but in this case, it seemed like when he did hold the ball longer, kind of like he felt indecisive about whether he should go or whether he should run past the line of scrimmage. It almost felt like the team told him, or he told himself, I'm not running past the line of scrimmage today. I'm just going to protect myself. And maybe that's smart. Or you could, scramble for 5 yards and slide every once in a while. But I do think it's interesting that Kyle Shanahan said Brock's not going to be 100% healthy the rest of the season. What does that look like? I think it's going to look like this game. A quarterback who can complete 70, 75% of his throws because there's some wide open people. I mean, he completed some throws to guys who were wide open. George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey in the end zone, Jawan Jennings. I mean, not Ricky Pearsall, but Kyle Shanahan did a good job scheming it up. And when you have that many playmakers on the field at one time, usually someone's going to be open. We never got to see the other quarterback play with Kittle and Pearsall on the field together. But it's not like Pearsall did anything in this game. So you'd like to see Brock Purdy not put the ball in harm's way so much. And it's not just, I mean, every quarterback does it. Matthew Stafford's had years where he's been too turnover prone. But I think in this game, first, like the reason I bring it up is because the game was really over in the first quarter. The Niners let him hang around, but it was clear which team was better. And the only way the Niners are going to actually lose this game is if they turn the ball over. And it feels like with Purdy, the reason the Niners like him so much, the reason why the Niners seem to think that he's better than Mac Jones is because Mac Jones doesn't really hunt for the big play. Now, I've seen him in training camp. When he has deep threats on the field like Ricky Pearsall, he's a really good deep ball and he's aggressive throwing the ball down the field. But when he was on the field, when he was in the game for the Niners the first half of the year, Pearsall wasn't out there. There weren't explosive field stretchers. And, as we know, the offensive line isn't great. And he needed to stay healthy because Brock was out. So he checked the ball down over and over and over again and won 5 games that way. Clearly, the Niners don't want that to be their identity as their offense. Brock Purdy comes back. They love that about Brock Purdy, that he's trying to push the ball down the field. In this game, he didn't really connect that far down the field, but what he does is gives the play a chance. Whereas Mac gets the ball out of his hands so he can avoid negative plays and keep the chains moving, which is certainly an effective way to play quarterback. Brock has a flair for the dramatic, which is what we all love about him. It's clearly what his teammates love about him. And all I would say is, sometimes they're going to need that. And sometimes, maybe Brock Purdy can give the Niners a gear that Mac Jones can't get into with that playmaking ability. But against the Cardinals, and again, not nitpicking a win, great win. Against the Cardinals, you don't have to take those risks. Next week against the Panthers, probably don't have to take those risks. And it'd be nice if Brock would stop. You've been watching Mac Jones. You see how he does it. You could play like that. You could be a little more risk averse when it's smart. Because I just feel like with Brock, has enough experience. He should know the difference. When to do it, when it's necessary, Steve Young knew the difference. Jeff Garcia knew the difference. Brock's a lot younger, but he's also in his 4th year here. And he hasn't played in a while, so I'll give him that. And as the season goes on, I'd like to see him find the balance here. But the thing about Brock, when he does turn the ball over, it's often on first down. I think his gauge of when to take the risk is a little off. So again, this critique that I'm giving tonight is not, let's not even call it a criticism. They won by a lot. And Brock Purdy's a hell of a quarterback. I'm trying to do my quality control thing. The offense was good, but it's Arizona and they need to get better. So I'm giving them things they can work on, helpful things that they can work on. And with Brock, it's know when to take the risk. I know you want to differentiate yourself from Mac and put yourself in the conversation with Mahomes and Josh Allen and those real serious elite playmakers. God love you, man. I love that you shoot for that. Mac Jones doesn't seem to, even though he's a hell of a quarterback. But, there's just a couple plays in this game where he got lucky. The other team dropped the ball. And if they're playing a team in the playoffs, can't do that. Because probably not going to get so lucky in the playoffs. I think there were some aspects of Brock's performance, the Niners' performance in this game against this awful team that made you think, I still don't know if this team can score their way into a playoff run. Maybe they can. It seems like having Christian and Kittle and Jennings and Pearsall on the field together is pretty potent. And, can you imagine if they even got Kendrick Bourne and Jake Tonjes involved as well? That'd be pretty cool. So what grade would I give Brock Purdy for this performance? Given the opponent, given the lack of mobility, given the 2 turnover-worthy plays, but also given his accuracy and his 3 touchdowns. Oh, man. I hate to be a hater because I don't hate him. I would give it a B+. A B+. Maybe you would put him in the A range. It was interesting. After the game, we asked Kyle Shanahan, what do you think? And you can kind of like, he uses the words he means. Like if he thinks a player had a great game, he'll say he played great or excellent. If he thought he had a B game, he'll say he played good or very good. And he said Brock was good. And I would agree. Brock was good, certainly good enough to win, but he wasn't really the full Brock. And partial Brock against Arizona, I'd put him at a B+, which again makes me a huge freaking hater. And I'm sure Brock wants to slap the taste out of my mouth. B+? How dare you? Anyway, this is what it's going to look like the rest of the season with Brock Purdy. Not a lot of scrambling, protecting himself, throwing, not always from the pocket, rolling left, rolling right, but really staying behind the line of scrimmage. And the question is that better than what Mac Jones gives you? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Would Mac Jones have put up 41 tonight? I think he might have. And I think what's interesting about this game, where they scored 30, 41, 50, didn't matter. They were going to win. They would have won this game with Adrian Martinez as their quarterback. Not to take anything away from Brock, just to put it in perspective what this win means. It means they took care of business, but they could have taken care of business in a lot of different ways against this team because 17 penalties. The Cardinals played like a team that was actively trying to get their head coach fired, or they were playing like a team that was just like extremely poorly coached. And maybe that guy just deserves to get fired. But I got to give the Niners credit. They played the Giants a couple of weeks ago. A week later, Daboll fired. The Niners are doing a good job of like, this is what they do at their best. Just put people out of freaking business. And this Niners team isn't that great, but they beat the Cardinals week 3 with Mac Jones. The Cardinals have never recovered. They've now lost 7 of 8 since losing to Mac Jones. Maybe that's an underrated aspect of having Mac Jones as a quarterback. That dad bod, that laugh, that lack of athletic ability, losing to him, I think it hurts your pride and your confidence more than losing to Brock, because Brock is a good athlete. He can run around. He makes a lot of money. When you lose to Brock, it's like, well, I was supposed to. I mean, he gets paid $53 million a year. But when Mac, with that Mickey Mouse laugh and his complete lack of muscular definition, beats you, even when he scores 16 points, I think it's tough to come back from that. So it's something to keep in mind, the Mac Jones effect and what it does to a team's morale. Anyway, it was good to see Brock Purdy back, not suffering any setbacks, knock on wood. Let's see what happens overnight. Sometimes these Niner players go home and come back the next day and it's a different story. Ricky Pearsall also had missed a lot of time, the same amount of time as Brock Purdy, comes back. I thought he would be better than Brock Purdy in this game. Brock Purdy has been, in my opinion, watching him at practice, he was floating passes, looping passes. But it's hard to really judge a quarterback in practice because they're not moving at 100% and they're not driving the ball as hard as they can. I mean, it's hard to say. But with Ricky, I saw him shooting jump shots. And as far as I'm concerned, if you can shoot a jumper, you can go for 150 and 2 tutties. So that's what I was expecting. The jumper's on point, the 3-pointer's wet, and he's been running on the side of the field for weeks. So I thought, I put him in my fantasy lineup, of course. Kyle knew that. Killed me. But no, it's not about my fantasy team. It's somewhat about my fantasy, but it's not. What it's about is it seemed like Ricky was not as ready to play as Brock. And I think it's interesting. Like, Brock Purdy is heavily reliant on mobility. But even if he doesn't have it, he can be effective. He can complete more than 70% of his passes, throw 3 touchdown passes, and win. But if you take away a little bit of speed from Ricky Pearsall, I'm not sure what he gives you. Well, I guess we saw it in this game. Slightly compromised Ricky Pearsall was just doing cardio out there. And God love him, cardio is important. And if you don't run those routes, you don't get out there, you're not going to get in better shape. So this was a step in the right direction for Ricky Pearsall. Maybe next week he can catch a pass or 2. But in this one, he was just sort of getting his heart rate up. And I commend that. But I'm not trying to take a shot at Ricky. Like, what did we really expect? I thought he was healthier than I thought this was all a conspiracy. I guess I was wrong. But what we learned is that maybe he's not going to be dominating right away. George Kittle said he's going to dominate Monday night against the Carolina Panthers in 8 days. Maybe he will. Maybe he will. I'm not saying bench him. Give him a shot. Throw him some passes. See how he does. But what I will say for Kyle, if you're watching, and I know you are, you're getting on the plane, you got your phone out, you're kind of pretending to look at film, but you're watching me because, we're best friends. And my football takes are good. I know ball. I'm your quality control guy. And what I would say, Kyle, great job today. Hell of a job. 41 points, mostly you. That scheme, that game plan, wow. That play calling. But what I would say is if you see one of your players, Ricky, not really having it that night and just sort of running routes and burning calories, which is commendable, try someone else. Juwan Jennings, he's been okay this year. Demarcus Robinson's been pretty bad. In this game, he had 1 catch for 13 yards on 2 targets. Juwan Jennings had 4 catches for 54 yards. Not bad. But what I would say is, can we just cut the roster politics and try a little harder, Kyle, to reward players who perform well? I just don't understand how Kendrick Bourne fell out of the offense. The guy put up 140 plus in back-to-back games. He's objectively having a really good season. He hasn't had a bad game. Yeah, he had 1 bad game with Purdy at quarterback, week 4 against the Jaguars. He had 3 drops. Since then, he's been really good when they call on him. And I think the right thing to do, not like the morally right thing to do, but the right thing to do for the team to give them the best chance to win against teams that aren't freaking dead like Arizona is keep him involved. He's better than DeMarcus Robinson. The idea that DeMarcus Robinson gets 2 targets and Bourne gets none, maybe that's off the point, but like Robinson has done absolutely nothing to earn or deserve any action. Only reason he's on the field is because you paid him. Kendrick is not supposed to be here. He's probably supposed to be on a practice squad or something, but he's just had an objectively above average season. And I think this Niners offense, which was so good in this, but it's like, was it so good, the Niners offense today? They had short field after short field. They had Sky Moore. They had turnovers. They were 3 for 8 on 3rd down. That's not good. Maybe you'd be more effective on 3rd down if you had Kendrick Bourne out there because Juwan isn't dominating like he used to. And Ricky Pearsall still has a lot of cardio to do before he can contribute. So look, Kyle, take it or leave it. Think about it. Suggestion, but you have a really good wide receiver. I think he's good. Like, he's not a Pro Bowler. He's not someone you have to have a whole game plan to stop. But on this team, when opponents are so focused on stopping McCaffrey and Kittle, and I guess Pearsall and Jennings, that's your secret weapon. And you know he's going to come down with the ball. And if it's close, he's going to make the contested catch. I mean, don't even get me started on Jake Tonjes, man. The fact that they benched him so they could get Juszczyk back out there doing shifting and motioning. Why does Kyle hate me so much? I just want to see good football. I just want to see the Niners put their best players on the field. If they had Kendrick and Tonjes on the field, they score 50. Now, it doesn't matter what they did in this game. Adrian Martinez could have won this game, but when they face the Browns, who have a good defense, when they face the Colts, who have a good offense, and they really got to have the best of their offense, because that's how they're going to win, right? Their defense gave up 22 to Arizona. That's not great. Their defense gave up almost 500 yards of passing. That's not great. But the offense is really good, especially if they use all their best players. Take some super chats. Michael Z, new member. John Maximus, new member. Hey, all my members, shout out. I got some something for you. Every Wednesday at 5 o'clock, the coach, Jesse Naylor, and me doing a members-only stream. We're calling it 3 Deep. Used to be the 4-man front, but Ryan G. Hensley has retired from streaming for now to be a varsity basketball coach. I'm going to talk about Ryan and his basketball team in a minute. So Ryan, stay tuned. People, stay tuned. Ryan, I hope you're watching. I think you are. But yeah, subscribe to the channel. Get some perks. John Maximus already subscribed. New member. Got 2 already. Joe No says, glad the taco review came back. There was beans. I think there were like a very light coating of refried beans, which is cool. I got excited. It was a B. It was a B burrito. I just really haven't found a burrito I really like outside of the Bay. Put it that way. I don't even know where to go in LA for a burrito I really like. Tacos? Yeah. Tacos for sure. Great fish tacos in San Diego. Great all kind of tacos in LA. But like burritos, I believe it's a Bay Area thing. But I could be wrong. Daz says also needs to be factored in. The Cards had a franchise-setting record for penalties with 17. It does need to be. I mean, again, this is a team that probably could fire their head coach tonight. But they won't because they're cheap. You know how cheap the Cardinals are? They don't have a media Wi-Fi. We had to use the same Wi-Fi as the fans in the building. So, and in like the lower bowels bowl, like where you walk around, no TV. So I couldn't watch the game. I had to like go and sneak onto the field. I snuck onto the field back there during the game. I just walked on and they were like, sir, you can't be out here. And I was like, no. I'm media. Like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber. It's okay. I'm a limo driver. And they're like, it's not okay. You need to leave. And I was like, okay. I didn't know. Just want to try that. Sometimes, it's worth trying. Gio Rivera says they let Purdy play to shop him in the offseason. Doubt it. OU812 says Grant would give Sam D and his 4 picks an A+. Yeah, you're right. I would. Sudden Chaos member for 30 months says, I do love Mac, but they only won 16-15. Thoughts? Well, it was a different team. He didn't have George Kittle, who scored 2 touchdowns in this game. And the Cardinals were 2-0. They weren't completely dead. They didn't commit 17 penalties in that game. They didn't turn the ball over 3 times. But, if I understand why Brock Purdy fans want to make this comparison and use this as proof that Brock's better than Mac. Although if you have to really dig deep to prove that, what does that say about your quarterback in the first place? Like if you really have to dig deep to prove that he's better than his backup quarterback, what does that say? But you can't prove anything off of one game. It's one game. Brock is getting paid a lot of money, not to beat the Cardinals on November 16th, but to like stay healthy the rest of the season, get the team into the playoffs, win a playoff game. This was a great start. But again, Adrian Martinez would have won this game. That's the truth. Johnny Football, $2. Thank you, Johnny Manziel. No, missed it. Thomas Delacruz says, you found out which rookies played you and Kinlaw. I asked Lenore, and he was like, maybe he didn't understand what I was asking, but he was like, nah, no one did that. I don't believe him. He's like, someone reenacted the fight that he and Chase Lucas had in the NFC Championship game, though? That's what I heard. But I got to ask other players. Jeff Caravella says, okay, just logging in. Here are my thoughts. Do we really know if we played well today, given all the Cardinals penalties? Brock almost throwing 5 picks a game. Did not miss that. Defense had some stops, but still nerve-wracking. I think that's a fair take. How good are the Niners? The Niners blew out the Cardinals. The Seahawks blew out the Cardinals. The Seahawks lost to the Rams today. The Niners lost to the Rams last week. So what does it prove? This guy says, can we take a second to talk about Grant's hair? Thought you were thinning. You taking what? I think I am thinning. A little bit. I mean, they're not too bad. Not too bad. But I guess I want to bring, like, before I lose all my hair, if I lose all my hair, I want to have like the curls come back, the waves. They're not really curls anymore. I used to have intense Jew curls during puberty. I called it a Jew fro. But I think it was like a hormonal thing. Now they're just wavy. Thank you, though. Fish and Chip says, what about John Weeks' praise overlooked every week? Dude, John Weeks the MVP of this team. Long snapper, man. Bill Kennedy says, can members call in or chat on Wednesday? You can chat. Draco says, Nick Martin looked explosive. Going to talk about him. Max Build Fix says, Green needs to go. Letting AZ throw that much. Oof. Yeah, Green is... Oof. Mike V. Skate says, is Kyle Shanahan obsessed with CMC, utilized more players? What about use check? Joe No says, I'm in the 209. Great taco trucks here. Oh, in Stockton? Yup. That's true. Dazza says Brock shouldn't just be better than Mac. He should be miles better. He's getting $50 million a year. That's pretty much the case. All right, let's talk Nick Martin. Defense. Defense gave up a lot of yards and a lot of completions, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But we've all been waiting for the 3rd round pick, Nick Martin, to get on the freaking field. And they took their sweet time. They played all the other rookies. And it was starting to be like, is this guy a bust? Do you think he's the worst player in the world? Because we saw him in preseason. The first game was awful. The next two games were way better. And I understand the Niners see him in practice, but that's not real football. How he does in the meeting room, how he does in practice, it's important, but it doesn't ultimately predict what he's going to do when it counts, when the bullets are live, all those cliches. So you got to see him in a real game. And they did that today. He was a Sam linebacker, not Luke Gifford, or at least mostly not Luke Gifford. It was mostly Nick Martin. And this is overdue. The fact that they didn't make this switch last week against the Rams is a big reason the Niners lost to the Rams, because Luke Gifford got worked in coverage. And Martin didn't. He looked explosive. He made a good block on the opening kick return from Sky Moore. I feel like it's overdue, but let's give Robert Saleh and the coaching staff some credit. Why did they wait so long with Nick Martin? Because maybe they were right. Maybe if they played him a month ago, he would have sucked. In this game, he didn't hurt the defense. I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I think they didn't want him to lose confidence. Maybe I'm wrong, because they've been playing other young players who have been going through it. But if they played Nick Martin too soon, when he wasn't ready, he'd get targeted, exploited, embarrassed, singled out, and he might lose his confidence before, and you might never get it back. I think maybe what the Niners are trying to do is set him up for success, put him in against a bad team so that he can leave the game and say, hey, I'm an NFL player. I didn't cost us. I actually fit right in. Did he look like a great player? No. But it was his first action. And Tatum Bethune went down. They're going to need Nick Martin this year and in the future. And I think today was huge, because we were looking at him as one of their bigger busts, one of their worst draft picks in the last few years. You can't get nothing from a third-round pick, especially when you're refusing to trade third-round picks for guys who in the NFL who are really good now. Can't do it, because the idea of what you could draft in round 3 is so tantalizing. So can't waste these picks. I was thinking they wasted it, and now I'm thinking maybe they didn't, because he definitely held his own. He looked like an NFL player. He's explosive. He's strong. He's not tall, but he has long arms. And I still like the idea of Nick Martin. I still think he could be a good player. And I'd like to see Kyle and Saleh use him as a pass rusher. Maybe not as an edge rusher, but as a blitzer for sure. But that was definitely a positive debut from Nick Martin. And if he does well, that's going to bode well for John Lynch, who might be the scapegoat du jour if the Niners miss the playoffs, although tonight doesn't look like they're going to miss it. So that's the good. Nick Martin got his debut. Let's talk about the not so good from the defense. I mean, the offense was terrific and scored a lot of points. So I guess it doesn't really matter what the defense did, but they gave up 22 to pretty much the Cardinals' backups. I mean, no Marvin Harrison Jr., no James Conner, no Trey Benson, no Kyler Murray. They were missing offensive linemen. And yet, Jacoby Brissett, who is probably better than Kyler Murray, but it's not like he's a legit starter in the NFL. He's like a high-level backup, threw 2 picks, give the Niners credit. Diamador Lenore, Malik Mustafa, great plays, good players. And, Jacoby Brissett, not a great quarterback. But he went 47 of 57. 47 is an NFL record for completions in the game. They gave up 452 yards and 2 touchdowns. They gave up a quarterback rating of 96.8. That's bad defense. They did a good job stopping the run. That was impressive. They didn't need Mykel Williams to stop the run. They didn't need Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. Now they were going up against some of the worst running backs in the league. Bam Knight. I've never heard of a worse name for a less fitting name. Well, I guess it works, because when he carries the ball, bam, he gets hit and he gets stopped for 2 yards. He did average 4.8 per carry, so I'll give him. But I mean, are you kidding? So I don't know. I mean, I understand from Robert Saleh's perspective. What do you want him to do? He doesn't have a lot to work with. If he's too aggressive, he'll get burned. And I think his strategy right now is, all right, bend but don't break. You can dink and dunk all you want, but we're going to be good in the red zone. And the offense, the Niners offense, will be more explosive than you. You're going to be throwing 6-yard pass after 6-yard pass, and they're available. But the Niners are going to be getting a 15-yard throw, a 22-yard throw mixed in with whatever else they do. And I think that's a big thing that happened today. It's probably going to happen next week against the Carolina Panthers. Until they face an offense that can really move the ball, that's what it's going to look like. It'll be interesting to see what the Niners do against the Colts. It's another team that can move the ball and score. Yeah. I'm still concerned about the defense is what I'm trying to say. Nick Martin, good debut. Tatum Bethune, hurt, didn't come back. He's one of their better players. Renardo Green, is he good? He hasn't given up a touchdown yet this year. That's good. But he's not a playmaker. He doesn't intercept passes. He breaks passes up. He had a really bad 15-yard penalty, unsportsmanlike conduct, immature, can't do that kind of stuff, but it happens. I think the most concerning thing about Renardo Green isn't his temperament or his maturity or his coverage. It's his run defense. It's terrible. He can't set an edge. He can't fill his gap. Teams run at him because they should. Because he's not, Deommodore Lenoir is a much better tackler than Renardo Green. Upton Stout makes Renardo Green look like, he is the worst tackler on the field for the 49ers. And when he got benched for committing that 15-yard penalty, interestingly, Darrell Luter Jr. replaced him. And maybe Darrell Luter Jr. isn't as good in coverage as Renardo Green. Maybe. But he's physical. He is a real asset to the run defense. So, we're talking about a defense that gave up 47 completions, so they need as much coverage as they can get out there. But, honest, as long as Fred Warner's not out there and Nick Bosa's not out there, how are they going to stop the pass? They did a good job stopping the run. You can always do that by loading the box. But if you can't stop Jacoby Brissett from completing 47 passes, what's it going to look like if you face anyone decent in the playoffs? I think we know what it's going to look like. So today was fun. Good win. But it doesn't necessarily change the trajectory of the season. We're going to need to see a little bit more from the defense. And then special teams. Sky Moore. All of a sudden, Sky Moore looks like one of the better returners in the league. The Chiefs gave up on him because he fumbled a lot. But on the Niners, he hasn't done that. He's explosive. He's fearless. He runs hard. And he should have had a touchdown on the first play of the game. They stopped him at the 1-yard line. I think he stopped himself just to be generous, just to ingratiate himself with Christian McCaffrey, who ended up scoring a touchdown on the next play. Probably. But this is one of the better trades of the year for the Niners. They haven't had a lot of great trades. But, look, Brian Robinson Jr., I like him. They don't use him. You wonder if they'd like to have that trade back. I don't know. But Sky Moore, they gave up next to nothing, and now he's become one of the bigger assets on the team, sort of like Eddie Pinheiro. Their special teams was awful last year. Jacob Cowing would catch the ball and fall down. They haven't had a real returner as good as Sky Moore since when? Since Ted Ginn Jr.? I don't think Sky Moore is Ted Ginn Jr., but he's the best they've had since Ted Ginn Jr. He makes them better. How many points would they have scored today if it wasn't for the short fields that he and Brian Robinson Jr. provided the offense? I don't know. But this is a big, and again, it's another reason why I feel like they should have made a trade at the deadline. You got Sky Moore for nothing. You got Keon White for nothing. You don't have to trade your first, second, or third round pick if you don't want to, but why don't you trade something for a player who is in the NFL, who you can watch his tape and know exactly what he is and how he fits? Because it seems like the Niners are better at that than drafting. So this is just another win for the 49ers when it comes and their front office when it comes to acquiring players and trading for guys. I didn't like this trade. I think I ridiculed it. And shout out to Sky Moore for being so consistent and being one of the, you'd have to put him in the game ball conversation. And what I want to say is now that we're helping Kyle Shanahan make this Niners offense great again, how about find a role on offense for Sky Moore? I know there's only one ball, but how about a jet sweep? How about a end around? How about a screen? I mean, the Niners offense is good, but it still lacks. I mean, what do people say? Purdy's coming back. The offense is going to be explosive. They scored a lot of points, but there wasn't the big play element. He wasn't bombing it down the field because he's not 100% healthy, and neither is Ricky. And the offense lacks explosion. The quarterback can't just make an offense explosive. Having Tom Brady, the best quarterback of all time, arguably doesn't make any offense explosive. A quarterback is as explosive as his weapons or the offense is. Moore's explosive. He should, and the Niners always had that gadget player that Kyle Shanahan could use in a bajillion ways. They don't have that guy this year, except they do, and his name is Sky with 2 Y's. So I would find a way to use him. I would find a way to use Kendrick Bourne. I mean, wide receiver is like the worst position on the offense. The most inconsistent. Jawan Jennings has been okay. Ricky Pearsall wasn't today. Ride the hot hand on the, that's Paul. Use the hot, that didn't sound good either. Use more wide receivers. Sky Moore. Injuries. This is rough. So Eddie Pinheiro pulled his hamstring. Couldn't finish the game. The Niners were going for 2 late in the game, up 3 scores because he's wasn't out there. I saw him in the locker room. He was moving well. I'm limping because I'm 37 and my back hurts all the time. He seemed fine. I would trade places with him right now, but that doesn't mean he can kick. A lot of times, if it's a hamstring, it's 3 weeks, and I would not be surprised if he missed next game because he's so important. It's the kind of injury you could make worse. And kicking is such an aggressive motion. You got that big step, you got that big, wind up, and then a very explosive movement. I would imagine if he's not 100% healthy, he can make it worse. So I'm guessing he will not play next week against the Panthers. Probably be smart not to play him if he's less than 100% healthy, which means they might need to go get Jake Moody. You think they will? He's on the Bears practice squad. They could get him. I bet you they won't. I'm thinking they're not going to get Jake Moody. They might go get Greg Joseph. Is he available? And if they did, wouldn't it be funny? Because they had Greg Joseph in the offseason to compete with Jake Moody. It wasn't a real competition, though. It was like a faux competition. It was really just so the Niners could say that they didn't just give Jake Moody the job, but they made him compete for it. And he lost the competition. Greg Joseph was 22 of 24, and Jake Moody was 21 of 24, if I remember correctly, in training camp, and then they cut Greg Joseph so they could say that Jake Moody was playing really well. Then they cut Jake Moody when he continued to be Jake Moody, and now they're going to have to hit up Greg Joseph like, hey, Greg, remember that time we brought you to camp and told you it was a real competition, but it wasn't, and we cut you, even though you outplayed the guy we kept, and then we cut that guy and brought in Eddie Pinheiro. You had a great time playing here, right? Why don't you come back? Hey, a job's a job. Maybe he's in the league. I should look that up. But before Eddie Pinheiro went down, he missed 2 extra points. One was blocked. Then he had another kick that was blocked that came back because of one of the Cardinals' 17 penalties. But I do think it's interesting, like he was on a heater. But it's not like he's new to the league. He's been around. He was not employed week 1. There's a reason. And if you look into his background, he is one of the most accurate kickers in NFL history on field goals. The reason he's bounced around a little bit and why he wasn't on a team, there's probably a lot of reasons. But look at his numbers. He is not good kicking extra points. It's the strangest thing. He misses extra points. And now he's hurt. So is he going to come back and make another 20 field goals in a row? Probably. Or that was a heater. It was temporary, and he's going to go back to being the Eddie Pinheiro that he's always been. That's not great. Also want to say that when Mac Jones was a quarterback, Eddie Pinheiro couldn't miss, but now Brock Purdy comes back and he misses. Maybe Eddie Pinheiro secretly is a huge Mac Jones fan, and seeing how the 49ers cruelly discarded Jones made Eddie upset, and maybe he was emotional and maybe cried. I did. So I just want to throw that out there. Maybe Brock Purdy, he had an impact, on Sky Moore, but maybe he had a negative impact on Eddie Pinheiro. Anyway, Eddie's hurt now. Greg Joseph's coming in. Maybe Greg will be inspired by Brock Purdy's manner in the huddle, although he's never been in the huddle with Brock. When you ask players about quarterbacks, sometimes it's like, do you really know how to evaluate this? Does anyone know how to evaluate quarterbacks? We asked George after the game, what do you like about Brock? And he's like, man, his voice in the huddle is so good. The only person with a better voice in the huddle I've ever was Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, that's the number one thing we're judging here. Voice, the megaphone. All right. Look, if you know me, you know I've been streaming with Ryan G. Hensley on Mondays for like 4 years. He recently, I'm going to call it a hiatus because no one ever really retires, but he is now the varsity basketball coach for a little high school north of Sacramento. And the team has no funding. And Ryan is doing the Lord's work. He is, I don't want to say it, but seriously, like, what Ryan's doing is important. It's great. I love people who are from Northern California who stay and try to be a positive role model for kids. Like Coach John Beam. I don't know if you guys follow this, but I'll talk about Coach John Beam in a minute. For Ryan, look in the description. Look in the chat box. It's pinned. If you'd like to donate to his team, they're doing a fundraiser. $2 would help. Anything would help. Do it for Ryan. Do it for me. Do it for the community. And again, if you don't know about Coach John Beam, he has nothing to do with Ryan, but he was a longtime football coach in Oakland. Skyline High School for like 30 years. He was the football coach when my brother went there. He was my brother's PE teacher. His daughter went to elementary school with me. When I was in third grade, we went to Coloma with the gold mining thing that kids do. And he was one of the chaperones. He told ghost stories to us in the bunk. He was the nicest guy. Then he went to Laney and was super successful there. He probably could have gone to a big college, made a bunch of money, but he stayed in Oakland. He won a championship for Laney. He was on Last Chance U. You probably saw him. He was a character, and he was captivating, but he was a good, genuine guy who, every person who knew him had so many good things. I wish everyone would say nice things about him. I've never met anyone who was just universally loved, and he got murdered this week, assassinated in his office in Laney, shot in the head. Has nothing to do with Ryan. I just been thinking about it all week. It really, really, really upset me. I'm from Oakland. I grew up there. I went to UCLA, came back to Oakland. And when people say that Oakland sucks or it's going downhill, I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. I love it. It's an incredible city and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. And then something like this happens and it's like, oh. So anyway, support people like Ryan and Coach Beam who actually dedicate their lives to these communities. Thank you. Thank you for listening to that. And now I think it's Prize Picks time. What I want to do before making the Prize Picks, I want to look and see if I got any right. So this one, nope. That one, nope. Had a bad week, didn't do well. This one did do well. And I think it was my dad's. I think it was Lowell Cohn had the best Prize Picks of the week. How about that? Shout out to my dad for winning the Prize Picks competition. No, I only had 4. I only made 4 Prize Picks. Maybe that was an advantage. Let's make some Prize Picks now. Let's do it. Not that one. Let's do Monday, Dallas and Raiders. What a game that's going to be. Geno Smith, 235.5 passing yards. Ooh, that's an easy. He sucks. Less. Dak Prescott, 257.5. More, it's the Raiders. I don't think they're good. Ashton Genty, 62.5 rushing yards. Raiders. Sure, I'll say more. The Cowboys defense isn't that great. Javonte Williams, 74.5. Yeah, more. Easy more. Receiving yards. CeeDee Lamb, 86.5. Yeah, more. He's been coming back. Pickens, 64.5. He's having a good year. More. Okay, those are my picks. I like everyone. Geno Smith. Ha! Yep, that checks out. I'm going to put $40 down because I couldn't possibly lose again to win 720. Submit in the lineup. Download Prize Picks yourself. Use promo code COHN. Play $5, just $5 and get $50 instantly in lineups when you use promo code COHN. It's on the screen. Download the app. It's available in 45 of 50 states, including California and Texas. That's right. That's right. All right, I'll take the rest of the super chats and I'm out. And then I'm going to do my grades too. Bill Kennedy says NFL record for longest return, no TR. Javier Sierra says, describe the perfect burrito. How does the meat have to be cooked and toppings? To me, the meat is very important and it has to be seasoned very well. I don't know how to make good carne asada. You know it when you eat it. When you go to like certain gringo places, it just tastes like steak with no seasoning. When you go to like taco trucks, it's very delicious. So the steak has to, I mean, the meat has to be seasoned well, but I think the rice, the beans are just as important to the flavor profile, the sour cream, the cheese, the salsa you put on top, it's all important. So if you have good meat, but you threw lettuce in there, that's a problem. If you have good meat, but you threw French fries in there, that's a problem. That's how I feel. It's kind of like pizza, right? Like there's like a holy combination of ingredients and you can't put too much in there. Tommy Colby says, in a week where so many franchise QBs were bad, the mid Purdy balled out. Bill Kennedy says, Eddie is a Big Mac the Knife fan. Learn the song. Okay, I will. Brotato Chips gifted 5 Grant Cohn memberships. Wow. I don't exactly know what that means, but I think it means that he just paid for 5 of you guys to become members of the Cohn Zone, Cohn Head community. Very, very, very generous Brotato Chip. Josh B says, Justin Tucker is available. Eddie P, third all-time in field goal percentage, 133 of 148. Jake Moody, 54 of 71. Thank you, Carolina Panthers. Yeah. Harvey Dent says, put some respect on Upton Stout, and I'm not blaming Ronaldo Green for Trey McBride literally choking him out. Upton Stout, really good run defender. Made that great play at the goal line. What a freaking play. Two rookies have made these incredible punch-outs inches before a touchdown. That's great. Love that. It's kind of, you know what that reminds me of? Dre Greenlaw. Rookie year, 2019, saving the 1 seed at the goal line. You figured, man, this rookie's pretty good. He's going to have a future ahead of him. I guess I feel that way about Alfred Collins and Upton Stout. They're not finished products, but they're making incredible plays that make you feel like they belong and they're confident. And what's interesting about Stout compared to Green, Stout's great against the run. Green's terrible. Green's pretty good in coverage. Stout gets picked on. Those slot fades are tough. I did like how Robert Saleh adjusted to the 13 personnel, three tight end stuff. Because the reason defenses do it is to pass more than to run. Yes, they can run from those sets, but they're waiting for you to match up. We went, 3 tight ends or 2 tight ends and a 6th offensive lineman. So now you have to go, 4 linebackers or 5 D linemen or take a corner off the field. You got to match up. And when you do, they're going to throw at your worst linebacker, which is what the Rams did last week repeatedly to Luke Gifford. So what the Niners did when the Cardinals tried the same thing, which was predictable, they didn't match up. They put out personnel based on the situation and the down and distance. They were winning. They knew that the Cardinals had to pass a ton. I mean, they ran the ball by 14 times the entire game. 2 of them were Brissett. So he handed off 12 times and threw 57 times. Why would you match up? You're winning. Why would you load up to stop the run? They want to pass. So when the Cardinals went 3 tight ends, the Niners went big nickel with only 2 linebackers in the game. I can't speak. And the third linebacker was Jason Pinnock. Love that. Love that. No more picking on Luke Gifford. And if it wasn't Jason Pinnock, it was Nick Martin. Saleh's pretty good. Now, had I been hired, had I been in the booth as quality control, I could have told him during the game last week, but he got it. He got it. Fish and Chip says, watch out for burrito belly sneak up on you, QC. I appreciate it, man. But I do want to say that I've been working out at Orange Theory since March, and I go at least 4 times a week. I'm a little injured right now, but I'm still finding ways to burn those calories and get those splat points. And I usually do eat very well. I don't have a lot of burritos. I've lost not a ton of weight, about 8 pounds. I usually put on weight during the football season and stop going to the gym, but I've been working on it. So thank you for that reminder. Josh B says, did Tonjes or Watson play today? Who? Who's Watson? There's a player on the Niners named Watson? Watkins. No. They didn't play. Didn't do that. How do I look? Okay, before I go, my review of Phoenix. I like Phoenix. I feel like Phoenix has a reputation for having like not a lot of culture and maybe not being the most sophisticated place. Or maybe that's how Bay Area people feel about every city because we're such snobs. But I feel like Phoenix and Scottsdale have really nice restaurants that you don't know about. Like last night I met my friend from college, Raja, shout out Raja, at this place called High Noon, H-A-I, Noon, in Scottsdale. It was a Japanese bar/restaurant. It was to die for. The prices were reasonable. The cocktails were incredible. And it's like, you walk in, it looks like it's a part of a motel complex, and you walk in, it's like, oh, this is one of the nicer restaurants I've been to. So if you're ever in Scottsdale, it's been there for 2 years, check out High Noon. Then he went to dinner, because we only made the plans yesterday or 2 days ago. So then I went to dinner. I went to this place that my brother recommended called Dick's Hideaway. It's a New Mexican restaurant. I've never had New Mexican food. I'm from the Bay. I've never been to New Mexico. And I'm thinking like a Mexican restaurant called Dick's, this is going to be awful. It wasn't. It was great. So first of all, great room, kind of dark, beautiful bar, everything you could imagine, really nice. Also, the bartender who ran the place, I want to say like the owner or the general manager, knew me, big fan, made me love the place. Shout out to him if you're watching. And then they made these like, you could get a steak there, but they made these like platters. I posted a picture on Twitter. It's like you could get 3 enchiladas. You could get 3 chili rellenos. I got the New Mexican platter, which was a chili relleno, a tamale, and they called it a chicken burro, which I don't know. Is it like a small burrito? I don't know, but it was delicious. And then you can like, the best part is they have like 4 or 5 different salsas. They got mild, they got like red medium, green medium, and they got like burn your face off. I like burn your face off salsa. I'm just saying. So I like that a lot. And then it's on this big plate, salsa's all over it, and you get rice and beans on the side. You know I fucking love rice and beans. I loved that place, Dick's Hideaway. I can't recommend it enough. And it's nothing. I would never have a place like that in the Bay. If I could go again, I would get the enchiladas with the green chili. I didn't. I was like, I want to get like the authentic thing. I'm going to get the New Mexican platter, which was great. But I feel like the authentic thing in the Midwest, not the Midwest, the Mountain West, is the green chili. I guess a thing you don't really see very much in the Bay. It's a very Tex-Mexy thing, and it's delicious. I didn't get it. But I had a good time. And then I went home, took a lift home, and I was ready to pass out because I've been up like, I didn't sleep the night before. And I got into bed and I looked at I opened up my wallet to get my room key. And guess what? Credit card wasn't in there. Do you guys do that? Do you guys ever pay at a restaurant, sign, tip, close it, credit card in the fucking thing, and you just leave? I do that all the time. So ready to go to bed, saw that, trudged out back downstairs, went back to the restaurant. Dude who knew me was working there. He's like, what's up, man? You came? I'm like, yeah. Need my credit card. And he gave it to me. So I went home, slept. Now I'm going to go out to dinner again, but I'm not going to tell you where because people are crazy and people don't like me. But I'll tell you tomorrow. I got one more dinner and I'm excited for it. If I make it, let's see what happens. All day, every day, Kim says Mac rolling his eyes knowing Kyle gave Brock a layup. One more point. This annoyed me, and this is small, so I saved it to the very end. But yes, it felt like the point of today was to take control of the discourse around the quarterback. There's no quarterback controversy. It's Brock team. Look at how much better Brock is. Look at how much better the offense is with Brock. Okay, fine. We'll see how that plays out over the rest of the season. But today, that was, mission accomplished. But you did what you wanted. You did what you set out to accomplish. You made Brock look good. He had a good game. He didn't throw any picks. You won. Did you really have to slap Mac Jones in the face right at the end by making him take the kneel downs? I mean, it's one thing to pull the starting quarterback when you're still handing off, throwing passes, playing football. Get the quarterback, but they left Brock in there for that. They finally brought him out when it was time to kneel down? Why? That's not dangerous. What's dangerous is the other stuff he was doing before that. Kneeling down is probably the safest thing a quarterback could do. It almost felt like you had this pristine stat line for Brock Purdy, 3 touchdowns, no picks, 73 completion percentage, no scrambles, no rushing yards, but no negative rushing yards. You know who has negative rushing yards in this game? Mac. Because he took those kneel downs like he's Adrian Martinez. I don't know. It's kind of lame. If you're going to leave Brock in that long, let him take the kneel downs. Why would you put those negative yards on the guy who didn't even play? Aren't you going to try to trade him in the offseason? Let's talk about that. I forgot about that. Hold on. It doesn't count unless it's a banner. I have to have a banner. The banner helps the editing process afterward. I just want to put that out like that. So this happened over the weekend. I didn't make a video about it because I was chilling in Phoenix, but I want to talk about it now. So Ian Rappaport came out on Friday, and said Mac Jones is going to be one of the most pursued, desired quarterbacks on the market this offseason because it doesn't look yet like the incoming draft class of quarterbacks is anything special. And I mean, Sam Darnold had a bad game today, but there have been examples of quarterbacks really getting their career together in their mid-20s after playing for Kyle Shanahan or similar coaches. So I completely agree that Mac Jones is going to be in demand. He's a good starting quarterback. He's better than Jacoby Brissett. He's a really good starting quarterback. And he's cheap. The question is, should the Niners trade him? And if they do, what should they get in return? I would say don't trade him because the starting quarterback can't stay on the field. That's a fact. Now, the Niners could say, okay, we see that. But what we could do is trade Mac Jones and get another backup quarterback. Just like, they did when Sam Darnold left. Maybe they could go get some other former first-round pick who needs to get his career back on track. Maybe, I don't know, Kyler Murray, someone possible. Still, though, it feels arrogant and unnecessary. Mac Jones can run your system. You can win with Mac Jones. He's under contract for next year. You don't know how long Brock Purdy can stay healthy without re-injuring himself. So instead of doing what the Vikings did this year and getting rid of a quarterback works for you to bring in the mystery box, maybe just don't trade Mac Jones. Because again, you trade him, maybe you get a second-round pick. Maybe. You're not getting a first. More likely a third. What's more valuable to the 49ers? A third-round pick or Mac Jones? If they could draft a Mac Jones level player with the 3rd round pick, that would be one of the best 3rd round picks in franchise history. This team can't draft. So what business do they have trading proven players who are above average in their system on their team for nothing, for picks? It's a mistake. Maybe Curtis Rourke can be a good backup quarterback, but he's a complete unknown. Again, it's like going from the Vikings, going from Sam Darnold, who isn't the best. And when he melts down, boy, does he melt down. But so does Jared Goff. It's not like the Lions are like, oh man, Jared had one bad game. Fuck him. Let's get rid of him and bring in some college quarterback who might be better. Nah, that's what Minnesota did. Darnold had 2 bad games. Fuck him. Let's let him go and give the job to JJ McCarthy, who might be better than him, or he might be awful. Turns out he's not good, and he won't be the quarterback next year. And you know who might be their quarterback next year? Mac Jones. If the Niners make a big mistake. On paper, you could argue that it's the right move to trade Mac Jones. It's just that I don't believe that they would take the pick they got from him and use it on a player who'd be better than Mac Jones. And I do think they're going to need him. I think they're going to need him again this season. I was hoping that watching Brock today, I'd see a more mature Brock, a more careful Brock, given the injuries he's had the last 2 years, and given the way Mac Jones has played on this team. Like, you don't need to be playmaker Brock anymore, especially with this toe injury not 100% recovered, but still hesitant, still holding the ball, still, I don't know, holding it too long and throwing the ball to the other team. So I wouldn't trade Mac Jones. And that's why I think the Niners will. Whenever I feel very convicted about something, the Niners feel the opposite way. So by no means should they trade him, which means they're going to trade him for, I said they shouldn't trade Jordan Mason, right? They traded him for a 5th. And I think they saw tonight, the Niners, they want to have a good backup quarterback, but they don't want to have a quarterback controversy. So Mac's going to leave. And you know what? He's going to do well in his next team. You know why? Because he's a damn good quarterback. And if a team pays him, if a team trades for him, then they'll have to give him an extension because he'd be their starter, and he's not going to. No quarterback starts for $4 million a year if they're a veteran, can get an extension. So if some team pays him $30 million a year, guess what? He's worth it. So if I were the general manager of the Vikings or the Dolphins or the Raiders or the Browns or the Jets, I'd be calling the Niners. You don't want Mac Jones. You don't want Mac Jones. Purdy's so much better than Mac. Keeping Mac only causes a quarterback controversy, drama, distractions. Why do you want a big distraction on your team? We'll take that distraction off your hands. We'll give you a 3rd round pick for him, man. Now, we don't know if he'll be any good without Kyle Shanahan and the system and the playmakers, but we'll take him off your hands. 3rd round pick. What do you say? I'd be calling him up. I would definitely want Mac Jones if I were a quarterback needy team. He's a proven NFL player. He fits the system. He's good. You could get dude from Penn State though and see how that goes. That works out. Why didn't Kyle pull players up 25 with 8 minutes left? I don't know. It's almost like he wanted to pad stats and hang 40 on this team. It's almost like that. Sherpain says it seems like Cabo Click played harder for Brock. Funny how that is, right? Clicks stay clicked up. Jesse Calderon donates 99 cents, man. I appreciate it. Webster Shaw, new member. Thank you very much. Jesse Calderon says, JSN versus Demo going to be crazy. Let's talk about that. It is going to be crazy, but Demo plays on one side and he doesn't follow people around. And I think you could go after Lenore, but if you do, you're probably going to throw a pick like today, Brissett. Why would you do that when you could just go after Upton Stout or Renardo Green or D Winters or Jair Brown? There's so many green lights on the field for the Niners. Why would you? They might do it once or twice, but I don't think they're going to do it a lot. a lot. You feel me? All right. I am done. Thank you for watching. And stay tuned for the grades. They're coming up. They'll be out in about an hour. And I'll see if I can grab some dinner and I'll tell you about it. But I really appreciate you all. And I hope you enjoyed this game. And